Hello and welcome to this all about Desolation Point guide video. In this video, I will be going over some key information to help you get familiar with the Desolation Point region in the Long Dark. I'll be going over things like transition zones, base options, wildlife, advice on exploring the region, and much more. Feel free to check out the timestamps in the description to jump to the information you need. A very brief background. Desolation Point was the fourth main region released for the Long Dark, previously home to the local whaling industry. Located all the way east in Great Bear, it is one of the smallest regions in the game, but a valuable region due to its loot and facilities. However, the wildlife is quite dense for such a small region. The weather here tends to be manageable, especially as a shelter is never too far away in this region. Map overview. As mentioned, Desolation Point is a rather small region, but has plenty of interior spaces and POIs to explore. It even has an explorable cave which is home to a furry friend, aka Scruffy. It is also home to the Riken, a shipwreck which contains a forge, great for making arrowheads for example. There is one main road going through the region which can easily be followed, though often hostile wildlife is roaming around this road. If it is clear enough, you can even see many of the main POIs like the Lighthouse, the Riken, and the processing plant. Broadly speaking, you can divide Desolation Point into three areas. There's a bit of a hilly area, there's the main road, and there's the frozen coast. As well, Desolation Point has an abandoned mine which connects within the region itself, having an east and west entrance. It is unlikely you will get very lost in this region. Main bases. Lonely Lighthouse. The Lonely Lighthouse is one of the first options to set up base if you are entering the region. It has a bed, potbelly stove for cooking, and a good amount of storage space. Of course, another great feature is being able to see the whole region, if the weather is clear, from the top of the lighthouse. However, there is no workbench for crafting or other facilities, though the Riken and Hibernia processing are pretty nearby. The Riken. The Riken is a shipwreck located quite centrally on the frozen bay part of Desolation Point, right in between the lighthouse and processing. The benefits of the Riken is mainly that it contains a forge, which is needed for crafting arrowheads or improvised tools which you're likely to need on interloper or higher difficulties, as a standard hatchet and knife do not spawn, of course. You will likely find coal here and many items that can be broken down for scrap metal as well. It does also have beds and you can cook on the forge if needed. You can also go out on the deck of the ship to get a good look around and check for hostile wildlife, for example. There's also a little bridge up here. Hibernia processing. Though maybe not super cozy feeling, it does provide beds, a fire barrel for cooking, a workbench, and plenty of storage. You will also find some valuable loot here. It contains a safe as well. A heavy hammer, hacksaw, and rifle can potentially be found here, as well as a revolver. Also, there's a lot of resources you can break down for reclaimed wood and metal, or scrap metal. Be warned though, a bear and wolves can roam literally right outside the plant. Transition zones. Transition zones are locations in a main region which will let you move into a different region. Desolation Point is a main region in the game, but as it is located at the far east end of Great Bear, it actually has only one transition zone. This is the transition that takes you to Coastal Highway via the coal mine and Crumbling Highway. If you are entering the region, this is therefore the only way in or out. If you have started in Desolation Point, it's the only way out. Prepper Cache. There is no Prepper Cache located in Desolation Point. Facilities. First of all, workbenches. There is one workbench in Desolation Point, which is located inside Hibernia processing. Forge. There is a forge located in Desolation Point, which is inside the Riken shipwreck. Cooking. There is a potbelly stove located in the lighthouse. You can also find a fire barrel inside Hibernia processing, as well as at the stone church. You can also cook on the forge if needed. Fishing. While there are no actual fishing huts located in Desolation Point, you can create fishing holes and use a fishing tip-up. Loot. As always, the loot you find will depend on the difficulty you are playing. Please note, on interloper or higher, you will not find guns or the standard hatchet and knife. Tools and weapons. Many of the tools and weapons you can find may be found in Desolation Point. For example, in Hibernia processing, you have a chance of finding a heavy hammer, hacksaw, rifle, revolver, or ammo. At the stone church, there is a chance to find a rifle, revolver, ammo, or hunting knife. In the lighthouse, you might find a revolver and/or both types of ammo. Up at Katie's secluded corner, you may also find a bow and at least one arrow. In the explorable cave with Scruffy, you also have a chance of finding a rifle or rifle ammo. As for other resources, there's quite a lot of POIs and interior spaces in Desolation Point, providing other loot such as medical supplies, food, clothing, and skill books. Beachcombing. Another great source of loot is beachcombing, which can be done in Desolation Point. This is a mechanic in the game where items wash up on shore, especially after a blizzard. A large variety of items can wash up, as well as sometimes boats or other containers like lockers or trunks. The condition of the items and the quantity will differ depending on your difficulty. Just be careful of the cracking ice when beachcombing, and don't forget to use your crampons if you have them for a little extra stability. Natural resources. While Desolation Point is small, it does provide some natural resources. You can find all of the following in Desolation Point: rose hips, reishi mushrooms, old beard lichen, birch and maple saplings, burdock, and additionally salt deposits, which are along the coasts and in some caves. However, some resources you will not find are cattails, birch bark, and acorns. Wildlife. Desolation Point has quite a concentrated level of wildlife for such a small region. It is also home to Scruffy, a cave-dwelling wolf. In Desolation Point you will find rabbits, deer, wolves, a bear, and a moose. However, you will not find timber wolves, the cougar, or ptarmigans. In December 2024, there was a wildlife refresh, meaning there were changes to the spawn locations and our wandering routes of the wildlife. Let's go over the spawn locations for moose, bears, and wolves. Moose. There are two possible spawn locations. First of all, along the road near the bridge above Matt's truck, and secondly, on this big rock between the Lonely Lighthouse and the Riken. Bears. There is one bear cave located in Desolation Point, just before the broken bridge at the end of the main road. The bear roams the area along the road and around Hibernia processing and the Riken on the frozen bay. Wolves. Definitely quite a few potential spots to run into wolves on this small region. For example, various spots along the main road, also often blocking the way to the lighthouse, around Hibernia processing, out on the ice, and don't forget Scruffy, who can spawn in the explorable cave located right at the end of Desolation Point, near the broken bridge. Vista Point and Polaroids. Desolation Point does not have a Vista Point, and therefore there are no Polaroids to find here. Memento Caches. Mementos are collectible which you can find throughout Great Bear. They lead you to either a hidden cache with some loot or a hint at a landmark or transition zone. The way it works is you first need to find a note which correlates to a certain cache. You won't be able to access the caches without having found the note first. Sometimes they come with a key as well. In Desolation Point, there is one Memento Cache and two Memento Hints. Memento Cache. Found in the bridge of the Riken, a note and a key will lead you to a lockbox which is located on a train car at Hibernia Processing on the coast side. Usually contains flares and/or flare shells. Memento Hint 1. Found in Matt's truck underneath the bridge of the main road. Under the visor you will find a note which hints at a cave near the broken bridge, the one with Scruffy. Memento Hint 2. Found in the truck blocking the gate into the Hibernia processing. This hint leads you to Katie's secluded corner, where you can potentially find a bow. DLC content. Let's go over some info that might be relevant if you have the Tales from the Far Territory DLC. Coastal Fishcakes recipe. In the Frontier Comfort update for the Tales DLC, they added some special recipes. The Coastal Fishcakes recipe can be found inside the Lonely Lighthouse. Transmitter Tower. In the Signal Void tale, you need to fix up 3 transmitter towers in order to be able to find the relevant bunkers. However, there are 2 additional transmitter towers, one of them being in Desolation Point. Fixing this one up will allow you to find supply caches in Coastal Highway with the signal radio. It needs the same items as any other, which are 2 wires, 3 fuses, 5 scrap metal, and a battery. Cougar and Ptarmigans. The cougar luckily does not spawn at all in Desolation Point. As well, there are no ptarmigan nests here. Trader's radio. Unfortunately, there is no trader's radio in Desolation Point, probably because the trader box is located not too far away in Coastal Highway, and it also has a trader radio there. Routes of exploration. Here are a few suggestions for exploring Desolation Point. Again, these are only suggestions, so don't feel you have to follow any of these routes. Firstly, if I was entering the region for the first time, I would likely head to the Lighthouse first. From here, cut across the frozen bay to either the Riken or Hibernia processing. I often pick up the Memento Cache key from the Riken on my way over to the Hibernia. Then pick up the hammer and or hacksaw at Hibernia and head back to the Riken for forging. 2. A trip up to Katie's secluded corner is essential, as you can find a bow here. There's also a sneaky maple sapling up here. 3. Checking out the hillier areas such as the stone church. You can use the mine if you want to avoid some of the main road where a moose, bear, or wolves can be. 4. Take a trip all the way to the end of the region, visiting the cave and fighting off Scruffy. So hopefully I've covered the information you need to help you get familiar with Desolation Point, and I hope you find it useful. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.